Welcome to Blood Bowl 2 Legendary Edition. I'm doing a review of my Amazon's campaign in the recently concluded Open Ladder 9. In my first match, I played against an Ogre team whose coach picked a 6 Ogre, 6 Nobla and 0 reroll team roster. The result was pure frustration for the Ogre coach and he quit before half time. It's hard to be too sympathetic because if you're going to go bungee jumping, it's best to pack the bungee cord. If things don't go as expected, who do you blame? The gravity or ground? No, you just have to raise your hand and say it was my fault. Don't play an Ogre team without any rerolls. I think that is the lesson there. So this is my Amazon team. I was a little disappointed in that I couldn't level up any of my blitzers in the first match because the Ogre team conceded. 2 of my linewomen got the MVP awards. One of my blitzers got 2 SPP for the heroic feat of beating up a strength 1 Nobla. And another blitzer got 3 SPP for scoring the touchdown. So this is the second match. I'm playing against the High Elves. I actually have 12 players this time around. I bought a new linewoman because I thought I would like to have at least 12 players for matches. We are going to suffer injuries, we are going to suffer KOs. And unfortunately in my first match, my thrower suffered a broken jaw after she was smacked in the face by a Ogre. So she is missing this game, hence the purchase of this linewoman. Do I have a team of 11? I have all 4 blitzers. They give me a key advantage, I think, over most other teams. Most other teams do not have as much block as the Amazons. Maybe the Dwarves and Chaos Dwarves, and the Dwarves and Chaos Dwarves have tackle as well, which makes them particularly scary for an Amazon coach. So team of 11, full squad pretty much, 4 blitzers, 2 throwers. Oh, I did not pick another linewoman. In fact, I picked up a new thrower, Lily. Sorry, it was Esther, I think. And 6 linewomen. So the catches are kind of interesting. They come with catch in addition to the standard dodge. So that gives them an 89% to catch the ball. And they also have agility access on normal level ups. The blitzers do get a strength access on normal level ups, which gives them easy access to guard and mighty blow. The linewomen have general access only, I think. I guess the first pick is going to be wrestle for them or block, and then after which you might get guard maybe. Well, guard is a double for them because guard is a strength skill. Anyway, let's see the setup. Playing against the High Elves. The High Elves are agility 4 like all elves. They aren't as bashy as the Dark Elves. They aren't as fast as the Wood Elves, and unfortunately they do not have they don't find it easy to get their catches. They are probably the best players in the High Elf team. Movement 8, strength 3, which makes them one of the faster players with strength 3. They tend to be very expensive, and High Elf players tend to be very expensive in general. So a TV1000 High Elf team has to make some sacrifices at the start. The opposing coach did pick a thrower. Thrower has, I think, pass and safe throw as well, which makes them pretty reliable when using them in a passing game. So the High Elf players do have some options. They have the running game, they have the passing game. They are not very adept at the blocking game at the start because they only start out with 2 blitzers who get the block skill, which makes them dependable when blitzing. Most of the players can level up pretty easily. Most other coaches have to think, can I score? High elf coaches, on the other hand, tend to think in terms of who can I score with. Often the high elf coach is thinking about how to level up his players as quickly and efficiently as possible. The team is capable of racking up some impressive scores. The danger was I did not have a very good plan for dealing with the high elf team or most elf teams at the moment. So my general plan was try to tie up the blitzers they have blocked with 2 of my own blitzers and spread out the other blitzers in order to perform blocks. I can't pin down the high elves because they have agility 4, which means they have an 83% base chance of dodging away into a free square. Let's see what happens. So you really have a choice here. Do you want to aggressively move your players towards the line of scrimmage or position them deep? So I was going back and forth here. Wasn't too sure how best to deal with this high elf team. Ultimately I chose with this lineup. See how the high elf coach responds. Thrower stays back. Obviously he's going to grab the ball, hang back until the high elf team gets a couple of receivers deep in the field, at which point you can pass the ball to someone who can run it down and hand it off for the quick score. So we get a gentle gust of wind, scatters the ball 1 square. Not a great kick. It will do. First block is only a 1 dice block for some reason. So I'm guessing this was a pretty inexperienced coach maybe. Or maybe a very gung-ho coach. First knockdown. Again, the whole deal with the Amazons is it's hard to knock them down, but when they get knocked down, they tend to break. The thrower picks up the ball without any problems. Elf coach decides to sort of make a loose cage here, which I feel, strictly speaking, wasn't necessary, because the high elves are a little faster. Not that fast at the moment because they don't have the speedy catches. So we'll take a look at the position here. Only 1 receiver here. Movement 6. Sort of in touchdown distance with a couple of GFIs. But I'm under no threat at the moment, so I thought if I deal with this one lineman here, I should be relatively okay. Sure enough, here comes a blitz from a blitzer to make it dependable, and it's a knockdown. I positioned the lineman over here because make it harder for him to dodge out. Also makes it easier for me to push him off the field if necessary. Some players are incredibly focused on crowd surfing. I'm not that obsessed with it. My focus generally tends to be on the ball itself. But yeah, crowd surfing has its use because it reduces the number of players the opposition has to play with. Gives you a personal advantage. But the whole deal with the elves is, even though they are down players, well, let's take a look at the situation here. Marking a couple of players. I'm under no threat at the moment. So let's see what the high elf coach is going to do here. Performs a block with a lineman who does not have the block skill. Forced to use one of his rerolls. High elf coach does not have any reserves. Once again, for some reason, he's playing very safely. Trying to force the decisive breakthrough, I guess. But he's giving me an invitation to pressure the cage. And the first injury. Thankfully, one of our opposition suffers it. Usually it's the Amazons who break first. So the High Elf coach is down to 10 players. I blitz again with my blitzer. Block versus no block. It's going to be pretty safe, especially with a 2-die block. Move forward, not exactly putting a lot of pressure on the cage, but making it a little uncomfortable for the opposing coach. So plenty of space over here. Pretty much giving encouragement to the opposing coach to shift over this side. Let's see what he does. Again, I'm very leery of committing my forces too much on one flank because the High Elves can easily shift the ball. Then, for some strange reason, the High Elves decide to go over this side. Maybe a mistake because it means I have less space to defend. If I can compress the play, the better it is for me. So the High Elf coach keeps it very narrow. The thrower moves forward, forming a half cage by the sidelines. This was pretty much an invitation for me to blitz one of the corners of the cage and threaten the ball carrier for turn 4. Couple of knockdowns, no armor breaks. So first thing is try to prevent this thrower from freely running forward. Here's the blitz against the corner of the cage. It's only a push. Pretty okay with that. Now I get a 2-die block against here. Okay, so this is pretty interesting because by moving one of my blitzers over here, when I block with this player over here, I can force a chain push. It's not going to result in a crowd serve, but it's going to make things very difficult for the High Elf coach in the next turn. Let's see what happens. Making all safe moves first in anticipation of failure. I do have a reroll handy, but still better safe than sorry. Here's a block. It's a knockdown and the pushback. Okay, now things are getting very hairy for the High Elf coach. He has room to retreat, but going forward is going to prove very difficult for him. A lot of players free over here. So I think I need to do something with this player, probably move over this side. First a block with the blitzer. Pick up the line woman. Yep. Maybe not the best move here. Okay, don't think this was the best move here because it might seem as if this move makes sort of sense if you're thinking the punch through is going to go here, but if I was the High Elf coach, I would try to retreat. Try to shift the focus to this area over here. As much as possible, try to drag the Amazons from one side of the field to the other. The Amazons only have movement 6, so they're not as slow as the dwarves, but they can't quickly shift from one side of the pitch to the other like the elves can. Let's see what the High Elf coach does. This one was sort of okay, but still a lot of room here. It's a block versus block. And a passing play. Pretty sensible here. Kinda risky maybe, but the High Elves have agility 4. So maybe not as risky as all that, especially when you have a reroll handy. However, if you take a look at the situation here, the thrower is still standing over here. And this player is going to find it very difficult to dodge out. So, but still, if my focus was on the ball, I have to pay close attention to what this blitzer has. Giving the ball to the blitzer was a smart move, makes it harder for me to knock the ball carrier down. Let's see what the ball carrier does. Moves back, hands it off. These two players can sort of provide some assistance to the ball carrier, but I have a lot of players over here. With 2 GFIs, this player could shift over this side. Maybe not the best move. Not sure why the High Elf coach was. Well, he seemed to be in a hurry. I don't think there was any reason for that. High Elf coaches should be confident in their players' abilities to quickly score touchdowns. Trying to save this player from being crowd surfed. Decides not to move forward. Failed dodge there. Oops. Always embarrassing to see a elf fail a dodge attempt. On the other hand, if you're playing against the elves, seeing an elf fail a dodge attempt is hugely entertaining. Unfortunately, the High Elf coach rolled 2 1s. He's down to 1 reroll now. So let's see what happens here. So if we take a look at the situation here, with a 1 die block, if I get a push, I can simply push this player off the field. Question was, do I want to do that first or try to put pressure over this side? This is a blatant invitation for me to either sack the ball carrier or put pressure on this area over here. Let's see what happens. Safe moves first. Okay, this one was pretty much to get a 2 die block against this player, push him off the field. And boom. Meet and greet session with the fans who do their meeting and greeting with their feet. Yes, the blitz opted not to blitz the ball carrier. Blitz his guard instead. Get the stun. And now the ball carrier is in a bit of pressure. I say a bit because, again, agility 4, 83% chance to dodge away. But looking at this, the play so far, I think this was a relatively new elf coach. Maybe a little uncertain. Seemed to be very anxious to get the touchdown as quickly as possible. Guard these players, make it harder for them to move around safely, and move this blitzer just in case this guy decides to dodge out and move forward. 1 final block. It's a knockdown but no armor break. So the High Elf coach decides to make a passing play here. So even if he succeeds the passing play, where is he going to go? These two players could dodge out eventually, Not over here, but maybe back. So maybe the best plan was to consolidate, maybe move back a little, force my players to get into the elf half, at which point you can make a break for it. Maybe. 1 SPP for the pass, and a handoff to the blitzer. Okay, where's the blitzer going to go? So I don't think this was a good move. The blitzer is all alone. The only players capable of supporting him, this player can't quite reach. Maybe with a GFI can go over here. 2 GFIs rather. These two players are going to have a lot of problem getting over here. So I don't think this was a good move here. Let's see what happens. Again, the High Elf coach seems to be in a real hurry. Another GFI. Does have 1 reroll handy. Oops. 1 dice block succeeds on the second attempt. And it's an armor break, but only a stunned. Very grateful for that. And there was a 1 in 9. So that is a turnover, and the ball carrier is all by himself. I have a blitzer over here free. I have 2 linemen over here. So I was pretty confident. Not only of sacking the ball carrier, when I was already thinking in terms of scoring myself. I did have 4 turns to do it. 3 rerolls. So I was pretty confident at this point in the game. High Elf coach meanwhile must have been pretty disheartened. Simple 2 die block over here. 2 die block with the blitzer. Managed to get the knockdown. Ball goes loose. Nice spot for us. I moved the thrower forward. So one of the nice things of having a player here, simply by having a player close enough to score a touchdown in the next few turns, I would bleed players away from the ball. Somebody would have to go back to mark this player. The less players the opposing coach has to deal with this situation over here, the better. He's got 1 player stunned here. This player knocked down, so does not have a lot of options. Decide to pick the ball up with the line woman again. Maybe not the best move again. Move over here. Try to protect the ball carrier. And I have something of a cage. Very hard for the High Elves to get to the ball. These players are sort of free, but if I manage to block this player, I could move the thrower back. Let's see what happens. And the High Elf coach decides to concede. So once again, didn't quite make it to halftime. Second match in which the opposing coach has conceded. So once again, not very happy with what transpired, because didn't get a chance to develop my blitzers. The MVP award, I get 2 of them because of the concession, went to the catchers. Sort of nice. They get 5 SVP each, which means if I give them a passing play in the next match, I'll be able to level them up, give them block or wrestle. Nothing much happened aside from that. 15 blocks succeeded, 10 blocks succeeded, only no KO sustained, no casualties sustained. In terms of SPP, So this was the most disappointing thing about this match. Didn't quite get to level up any players. So 2 matches played, no players leveled up. In terms of rolls, I didn't make that many rolls. Didn't make a single dodge attempt during the entirety of the match. What about the opposing coach? 50% success with the dodges. A lot of skulls and both downs. So that was match 2. 2 matches played, 2 concessions earned. Nice to get the victories, not that nice to fail to level up my players. But in my 3rd match, we would be in for a stern test. We would be up against a Chaos team with a Minotaur, and this time we slugged it out for 16 turns. I will see you next time.